Professor May, Professor Bob, distinguished colleagues, students, good morning. On behalf of the Dean Alan Walker of Faculty of Education and Human Development, I welcome you all to this forum, fifth forum on inclusive and equitable education for all in Hong Kong. My name is Miron Homik. I am originally from Bangladesh, but Hong Kong has been home for me and my family for the last several years. I am currently working as a diversity, equity, and inclusion specialist within the Faculty of Education and Human Development. This is actually my second week of my new job. I'm going to tell you in a bit about the details of the work that I am planning to do in the next few years. But before that, I was asked to tell to the purpose of this forum today. So basically, we are here today to explore all the great things that our university is doing in terms of encouraging and helping minority students here. So if you look at today's program outline, we have a really number of distinguished colleagues from different departments and units, and they're going to talk about all the fabulous things they have been doing. Being an ethnic minority education researcher and also having passed a considerable amount of time on this campus, first as a PhD student and now as a staff for the last few years, actually I was kind of aware of all the significance of the work that colleagues have been doing. What I really can't remember though, if there was any sort of initiative where actually people came together and sat together to explore what we have been doing in different units and departments. So from that perspective, this is very timely one. Thanks to Professor Bob Adamson for taking this initiative. I would also like to sort of remind us all about the latest policy address from the Chief Executive of Hong Kong. I think that showed once again the sustained commitment and effort from the top of the government to help ethnic minority population to improving their well-being, and also in particular to improve educational and employment opportunities for ethnic minority young people here in Hong Kong. So to our end, I feel this is really a great time for all of us to sit together and explore actually what we are doing in different units and departments. Of course, this will have a couple of benefits. A, we would learn the areas that we can complement each other. We can explore the areas we are kind of duplicating. So basically, that would ultimately help us to make our effort more consolidated and more streamlined. Okay, so as promised at the beginning, now let me allow to tell you what the things that I am going to work in this new position as a diversity, equity, and inclusion specialist. Just to give you a background, back in 2011, with the publication of that landmark report from the Equal Opportunities Commission, there was a sort of public intelligence that we came to know the representation of ethnic minority students in the higher education sector is actually disproportionately low compared to majority ethnic Chinese students. And I think the situation is still same. If we look at the latest census report back in 2016, that by census report, that still shows the similar issue. That proportion is still disproportionate. So basically, access is a big issue for ethnic minority students in terms of higher education or post-secondary education, whatever you want to term it. But there is some more striking research coming out recently that says even those ethnic minority students who can come into the university, they are not really getting the level of job they should have with having that kind of qualification. So that's a really, really big problem. And as a university, we have that responsibility really to do something to bridge that gap and to find out what is the skill mismatch, if you like that way. So on that background, actually, that position has been created within the Faculty of Education and Human Development to actually support ethnic minority students who are pursuing their higher education in this university, but also at the same time to expand access for prospective ethnic minority students in this university. So basically this is actually in line with the Faculty of Education and Human Development's mission to support students and staff for striving for quality outcome in terms of teaching, research and learning, also to engage with the wider communities of ethnic minority students. And if you look at the title of this position, it's like a big one, diversity, equity and inclusion specialist. So basically it has a really broader focus, but to keep things sort of in a systematic way. Actually for the beginning, at least at the beginning, we are now just going to focus on ethnic minority students, but eventually we will expand our focus on more minority groups in terms of class, sex, sexual orientation, refugee status, disability. So that is sort of our ultimate goal. And the major responsibility, what I'm going to do, just in a word, is going to sort of create an environment here within the faculty that ethnic minority students are able to flourish. So how I'm going to do that? Actually, there are 4 things that I'm going to do, just to be very specific. The first one is to provide them support so that they can excel in higher education. And it's not just only academic support, it's going to be in terms of cultural support, it's going to be in terms of emotional support, it's going to be in terms of mentoring support. The second one is going to be carrying out related research, actually that would help the university in general and particularly faculty to create a congenial or conducive environment for their learning enhancement. The third one is going to be involving in the teaching related to the course of diversity, equity and inclusion. And the fourth one is advising university on the culturally relevant matters as it needed. So these are the 4 main aspects that I am going to work on. In the next few weeks or several weeks, actually, I am going to do some major work to take stock of like all the support services available within the university for ethnic minority students. So I am going to write to colleagues in different departments and units to learn more about what are the things really you are doing and what specific provisions are available minority students here. But at the same time, I will be carrying out some consultation meeting with the students to really learn their views, what are the issues they are facing and what are the needs or the areas they really need more support. So students, I will be hanging around with you, I hope. And I think it's just going to help me or us as a faculty just not only to devise some need-based intervention, but also to do something for ethnic minority students' holistic development. So overall, actually, we are aiming to do some quality research so as to develop some really good evidence base to devise, plan, implement, and continuously modify some intervention and support services for ethnic minority students here. So, and finally, I just hope that I will be able to contribute to Faculty of Education and Human Development's Dean's current vision to raise everything to the next level as he always wants to do. So on this note, I want to stop here and hand over to Professor Bob Adamson to carry out today's proceedings. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Miron. Are there any questions for Miron based on his new role? It seems a very exciting job and a very worthwhile job. You're physically based in D1.
That's right.
D1 first floor 07 or 6?
07.
07.
Actually.
07A, okay, which is in the corner. As you come up the stairs, turn left, and it's in the IELL general office space just there. So and you welcome visitors to your office?
Yes.
Yes, great. Thank you. Okay, well thank you very much, Miron. We're going to move now to a series of presentations on varying topics. We're going to start, first of all, with Professor Mei Cheng, who is the Associate Vice President, and she'll be talking about the university's mission to enhance internationalisation and globalisation, and with particular reference to the minority language students. And then we have Dr. Simon Xu from GAO, the Global Affairs Office, who will talk about specific strategies that GAO are carrying out in the areas of globalisation and internationalisation. And then we'll be moving to some classroom initiatives and programme initiatives. We're going to invite Dr. Tiki To Chan from Early Childhood Education to talk about the training of classroom assistants for kindergartens. And we're going to make a slight change. Professor Hui Min Da from the SEC will be talking about managing diversity and ethnic minority education within the university. And then we'll come to Dr. Pamela Leung from CLE, who will be talking about initiatives to assist non-Cantonese speaking students. So it's quite a diverse range of topics we're going to cover. We'll then take a break and take a photograph, and then we'll come back and we'll have an open discussion about challenges and ways forward, and any other issues that people like to raise. So without further ado, can I move on to Professor Mei Cheng and invite her to give her little presentation? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Bob. So good morning, everybody, guests and colleagues. Welcome to the forum on minority education organized by the UNESCO chair, that's Professor Bob Adamson. The theme is very timely. It's about how the university can enhance its commitments to ethnic minority groups in Hong Kong. Is very timely and valuable. So I see for the university, a greater cultural and linguistic diversity on our campus is an important step towards ensuring that our students are internationally talented with multicultural and multilinguistic skills. So the mission statement of the university has explicitly stated the importance of internationalization. So it says, to develop students' international perspectives and knowledge so that they will be well equipped to become caring global citizens and professionals in their own fields. The university has also been building on its team of teaching staff whose teaching and research activities address regional and global issues with the objective of making an impact on educational change, social progress, and enhancement of human well-being. So the university's efforts are devoted to integrating different dimensions of internationalization into our way of life. And so as Dr. Simon Xu will talk about opportunities for overseas experiences of our students, which is an important area of work related to internationalization, I would like to focus on our efforts to attract local students from a wide range of cultural and linguistic backgrounds to our university. So we are very keen to bring more local minority students into tertiary education, and in particular to attract them into the teaching profession. There are two main reasons for doing this. So the first is that their presence on campus will enhance the rich and vibrant cultural diversity that we want everyone, students, staff, and visitors to experience, enjoy, and most importantly, to learn. Enhancing students' learning through developing their global awareness and perspectives is one of the most important generic learning outcomes we are promoting. So secondly, local minority teachers are underrepresented in the teaching force in Hong Kong. And there are serious concerns about inequalities in our education system, in particular for those who are not mother tongue Chinese speakers. As an education university, we are concerned about the quality of education for all students in schools. So apart from providing teacher education or teacher professional development related to the teaching of minority students, we see the need for more local minority teachers to help students from the same background. So to become role models, to guide them in their learning and because of their shared cultural and linguistic backgrounds as well. So in order to facilitate the recruitment of students from the local minority groups and to provide more opportunities for eligible students to benefit from the university education, we have taken a number of initiatives. So I'm going to go through some of the initiatives that we have been doing in these years. So the first one is we see the need to make our campus more accessible to local minority students. So at the policy level, the university has established a committee which is called the International and Greater China Affairs Committee to oversee, formulate, and review policies and strategies in promoting internationalization in the university. So in addition, we have established a position called the University Equal Opportunities and Disability Access Officer. And this colleague is located at the Human Resources Office. And the second thing we've done is in terms of student admissions. So for non-Chinese speaking students, the university accepts alternative or different types of entrance qualifications in Chinese language. For example, GCE, GCSE, IGCSE, and DSE applied learning Chinese for NCS students. For all programs, except for those where good command of Chinese is an integral part of the program, which is very obviously the teaching of Chinese language, for example. So we are seeing in recent years an increase in the enrollment of local minority students in programs, such as our Bachelor of Education in English Language Education. The third thing is in terms of program development, we have introduced a new program last year, which is to train local minority students as kindergarten teaching assistants. And Dr. Tiki To will talk about this program later this morning. The fourth one is we have increased the use of English medium of instruction to a target of 80%, which has the potential of making many programs available to international and local non-Chinese speakers. We have diversified the range of program offerings at the bachelor, postgraduate diploma, master, executive master, and professional and research doctoral levels to create a fully fledged university of education with education focus and disciplines complementary to education. So as far as non-formal learning is concerned, there are a wide range of services and activities, including orientation, a buddy scheme, community and cultural exploration activities, festivals, group activities, and personal guardians to help all students gain a better understanding of diversity and to enjoy their study and campus life. So the university is also active in research, projects in minority languages, equity issues, globalization, internationalization in Hong Kong and overseas. So we have a UNESCO chair who has initiated two major strands in minority education and internationalization in order to further our contributions to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal number 4 that aspires to provide quality learning for all students. For example, in an investigation led by Professor John Lee and Professor Bob Adamson, it was found that there were over 300 courses with globalization elements in our program, and that our students consider themselves to have a high level of understanding of global issues and global awareness. In order to better support for research and outreach projects, one faculty, so the FEHD actually has appointed Dr. Muran Vomic, so to be a diversity, equity, and inclusion specialist. So he has explained his role in order to instigate community outreach and on-campus support for our students as well. So in terms of financial commitment to internationalization, the university provides support through a number of schemes. So like the Global Learning Enhancement Fund, so it provides a subsidy to the students, to every student actually, to take part in overseas learning experiences. To cover part of the cost for the overseas field experience trips organized by offices and departments. So there is also the Reaching Out Award, which provides support for students to participate in other outreaching activities. So last but not least, we have taken steps to create a campus that facilitates cultural diversity and closer integration of local and non-local students. We have ensured that there is a greater choice of food available in the canteen and other catering outlets. And we also have a quiet room for all the campus users. So to conclude, so our work towards being a genuine multicultural, multilingual, and international campus is a comprehensive and ambitious undertaking. And much of the work falls on the shoulder of actually everyone. The senior management, the Global Affairs Office, the Student Affairs Office, and at the faculty and departmental levels. So we hope that we can progress and achieve our mission gradually. So I'm sure that today's forum will provide new insights and ideas on the way forward. So I wish you a very successful and enjoyable discussion.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Mei Cheng. Are there any questions for Mei? She has to dash off for a meeting with the President. Maybe you have a word with him about minority issues and so on.
Sure.
Bend his ear a
So-
little bit.
So
That'd be
we're
great.
talking about entrance requirements for students.
Mm-hmm. Great. Okay, well, can I thank Professor Mei Cheng and Dr. Miron Vomik for their contributions. We'll just have a little bit of a stage-managed delay because our next speaker, Simon, you'll be coming to use the PowerPoint, and May has got to leave. So thank you very much, May, for your contribution. Thank you. Thank you. Right, can you help Simon with the... So Simon's from the Global Affairs Office, and he's here to introduce some of the activities and initiatives of the GAO. Thank you, Simon.
Thank you, Bob, and good morning, everyone. So pleased to be here today to share with you some of the initiatives and policies and the implementation plans of our universities and matters relating to internationalization and how we're going to do it and what status we have, we are on so far. So just now, Professor Mei Cheng has covered a little bit about university missions and strategy, but here I would like to focus more on our strategy itself and how we are doing it. So, as a matter of fact, following the strategy of the university 2016-25, there is an area which is called to capitalize on local and international networks. This is one of the area that we would like to focus in the coming year. And under this domain, we'll focus on establishing a learning environment and also provide a cultural curriculum framework that will shape learning as a response to increasing globalization across the country. And also strengthen links with other partners in the region and internationally, and promote internationalization to encourage students' integration into local, regional, and overseas. So this is the overall direction that the university is to look into in terms of how the university is going to mix up with the other parts of the world. So under this policy, so we formed another one which is called International and Greater China Affairs Committee. So this committee is chaired by our VP, Vice President, Professor Lui. He's looking after research, knowledge transfer, and also internationalization. So we put very specifically 5 areas that we will enhance, which is collaboration, curriculum, learning experience, student integration, and regional leadership. So by means of internationalization, we are not just talking about sending the students away to other universities, receiving the students, but we're also talking about internationalization at home and internationalization abroad, and also curriculum, and also every single segments that the teaching staff and also admin staff, support staff as well, to provide facilities and opportunities. So we try to put it under this very framework picture. So under the strategy of the university, we have this internationalization at home and also internationalization beyond campus. So we put it very specifically. So for campus-wide, we have knowledge transfer, integration, and also student integration, and also other activities. Some of them have got to be conducted by academic teams as well. Now let's look at this one. Some of them, just actually some of the activities we have been doing, and even some of the, like the one cultural showcase. I don't know whether any one of you have been to the subcultural showcase this week. This is one of the initiatives and one of the series of activities that we are conducting over the year. This is only one of it. And then we welcome every single stakeholder, students, staff, full-time, part-time, or wherever on campus, to participate, to join, to entertain, and also to learn. This is our purpose. So we have put it under the frame, like learn globally at EdUHK, which means not necessarily going wrong. They also mix or mingle with the students from all backgrounds, and we learn together. We enjoy learning on campus. And of course, we are talking about the learning experience abroad. And like in the past few years, we see a very significant increase of the activities organized by faculties and departments, which is a very encouraging sign, because before we only saw some of the activities organized by Student Affairs Office, International Office, Greater China Affairs Office before, but now International and Greater China moving into one, we call it Global Affairs and also Student Affairs. But now we are seeing more and more activities organized by faculties, because this is theme-based, and also students could learn more with more focus. I'll just put some of the examples here, and some of the Chinese examples. Right. For the internationalization at EdUHK, we set a policy, but of course we set a focus, and we also set a KPI. Otherwise, without KPIs, you don't know where you are, and you don't know how, what sort of target you are going to achieve. So these are sort of internal KPIs that we set. And let's look at how we have been doing so far. I just show a very brief description about the trend of the changes for the past few years. You can see very significant increase of those students participating in the short-term cultural, we call it short-term or summer program or cultural language, and all these figures we saw from 700 or something up to 2,007, which is a very big increase over the year. So probably you may ask how we made it. So we have got lots of initiatives, like we put in place a 10K initiative. A 10K initiative is that every single student, when he or she enters this university, he will be provided with 10,000 Hong Kong dollar, and this is a voucher. It's not cash. So as far as you join any of the activities overseas, you will be able to make use of it. So by the end of your 4 years or 5 years study, if you don't go out a single time, so the money will be drawn back. So that's it. So we call it a 10K initiative. So we are seeing more and more students join that initiative. Okay, I think this is just a very brief sharing. Thank you so much, and see you. I have to excuse myself, but actually today we have got two delegates coming. One is from London Metropolitan University, and I'm going to meet him at about 10 o'clock, but I asked him to stay there for a while. And this afternoon, Oxford University, the summer program director, is coming at 2 o'clock. So every day we've got lots of initiatives going on, so upon excuse me.
Thank you very much, Simon. I appreciate you have to leave rapidly, but thank you for sparing the time to come and share with us today. Thank you very much. Thank you. Right, we're moving on. We do have a schedule here, but the schedule is very flexible. If we finish early, we finish early, which is great to do. So I'd like to move on now to Tiki, if you'd like to present about the initiative that you've been working on with the kindergarten classroom assistants. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Anderson. Good morning, colleagues and guests. I'm so happy to know that there's an opportunity to introduce a very special program, I think. So what I'm going to make use of these 10 to 15 minutes is I would like to talk a little bit about what are the special special elements in this initiative and what are the initiatives. And then I will talk about the roles and functions of the teaching assistants that we have been training. And then I understand that it's important to know about, have we received any positive feedbacks on the program and for the graduates? And so I'm going to, if I've got enough time, I will give some examples. And also, because we have a lot of promotion materials, if time is enough, I have some YouTube and news letters that are already online, and then we can share about that. But I'm also so happy that two of our graduates are also with us today, and they are at that corner up there, and I'm happy if they can share with us about their opinions and feedback to all of us. Okay, let me begin. So for the initiatives, because this diploma in early childhood education supporting the learning and teaching from non-Chinese speaking young children is a one-year full-time program, and it's an initiative taken by the Jockey Club Charity Trust and in collaboration of two local universities and two local NGOs units. And so it's a very big project. And then for this diploma, because it's, the goal is to train teaching assistants. So this is a brand new program in Hong Kong. And then we usually term it under multicultural teaching assistants. That is, we aim at to nurture a new generation of teaching assistants who possess the language proficiency, pedagogical knowledge, and positive attitudes that require to support preschool teachers, education, and community service workers. And for this program, it's a one-year program, so it's very intensive, 10 taught courses. And they also have to do the practicum to have school services at 20 network schools and support a learning center situated in Hollywood under the funding of this project. And for this, we call it MTA, the Multicultural Teaching Assistant. They, the special thing is they will provide service to the schools, to the preschools, right from the beginning of their school term. That is, they will go into the school to support teachers in September. So you will think, oh, why? They haven't learned anything. They don't have those professional knowledge and skill, and then they're going to serve the school. Do you understand why? Now think about it, the kindergartens in September, the year 3 young children. What are they going, the first day of their school, what will they do? What do you expect? A lot of them are crying. So these crying young children, they need to be taken care of. So the MTAs, they function well in this because they are big sisters and they are good. They are already very skillful because the young children understand. Oh, this big sister is also have the same background we, and also the native language. They will use the native language to get together with the young children, so the children will calm down. So that's so important that it's so useful or practical. That's why under this project, one of the special arrangement is to assign the teaching assistant before they have any specific training. They will go into they will step into the school and provide their service to help. So this is one of the special things in this. And now, for this initiative, it targets two groups of people in. That is, first is to help the youth, because for this new program, it admits secondary school leavers who has scored 6 points or above in the best 5 subjects. And because for those who have from the DSE results, if they have already got 10 points, they are eligible to apply for high diploma. But for this is a diploma program. So 6 points is already eligible. So it provides a very good, I would call it is like we're taking the air flight in transit to high diploma. So, and in our university, we have underwent the process of recognizing this diploma. So, for this diploma is already a recognized, validated program in our university. In the university, that is it has attained the qualification that is equivalent to the qualification framework of level 3. So for high diploma is level 4. So this is a very good a bridge or a transitional program to help these young people to transit to the high diploma, to pursue their further studies. And another target group is to help the young learners. That is the kindergarteners that I have just mentioned. And for these kindergarteners, this is an early intervention to help them to learn Cantonese and Chinese language, so that they can use Chinese as a medium to learn to study in local school for their primary, and then they can also use to transit to the secondary school. So for these initiatives contributes to 2 target groups of people, learners in Hong Kong. That is the secondary school leavers and the young children. And then the special thing about the roles and the functions that the multicultural teaching assistant play is, first of all, they have sufficient. They will be competent to lead small groups activities and be instructor in these small groups activities, such as storytelling, games and play, singing, dance, and music and movement. And the second important role that they play is being a translator, because they have their native language. And this is very useful, very practical, especially for parental involvement. Working with the families and the parents, teachers find that, for example, for their school notices, they cannot, even some parents, they don't know, they are not competent to speak in English. So for those who, our MTA can translate the notices and communicate with the parents in order to support the class teacher. And also for being a translator, we'll also put it in terms of a mediator, a facilitator, to connect the young children with the class, with the regular teacher. Because for the young children, especially in the first year of their preschool, they don't don't know what's happening there because they don't understand the language. So now maybe you have to imagine that you have to think in this way. For numbers, colors, food, so these are the basic things to us. But for the young children, they don't even understand it. For example, once an MTA quote this example. It's a worksheet that the class teacher asked the young children to color. The young child cry again because the young child didn't understand anything. And then the MTA just used the native language to speak, to translate the name of the color to the young child. Then the child stopped crying and know what to do. Just a simple word of translation. You don't need to have too many. Don't have to translate all the things. Just the keyword of the coloring will do. Another thing is about, for example, food. We understand that kindergarteners, all of them, all young kids like food, like us. But even the food at the school, under the thematic teaching, cannot capture young children's interest. I mean, for those who don't understand the language. And then I remember another example that the teaching assistant told us that in a case like this, the young child runs around and doesn't have any interest on the food, about the food that the teacher is teaching. Then the MTA translate one kind of food and tell the young child that this is what kind of food like our home country. Then the young child sit down and pay attention. Just one keyword will do. So this is it seems to us that it's only a product of a few seconds, but it's so important because the young child will at least they have captured their interest, their attentions, and everything start from there. So we can see the importance of this kind of translating, mediating, facilitating, promoting, this kind of function. Another is about, just now I also talk about caring because, about caring. When we talk about diversity, as you all know well that in these days, there are so many special needs. Although at this early age, it's not yet identified as any special need. It's not yet identified, but the kindergarten teachers find that there are so many special behaviors. For example, young children running all around the classroom. So the MTA will take care of these running around young kids. For example, the MTA will play with the young child at the play corner or read a book to the young child. This kind of getting together with and taking care of the running child is very useful and very practical and very valuable according to the class teachers. Although we know that in our program, we don't have sufficient training for taking care of special needs children, but we can we give sufficient methods or playing types of games, knowledge about games, knowledge about play, to assist our MTA to support their work at the school. Okay, maybe I'll take just 1 to 2 minutes to show you, to give you an example. Like, I come up with an example here. It's about effective communication between the school and the NCS parents. In this example, it's like this. The school hosts a Christmas party. And so we have to ask the parents to bring food to school. But then the MTA said, I found that many Chinese, because in those schools there are Chinese-speaking children and non-Chinese-speaking children. The MTA found that many Chinese people don't like spicy food. But then for the NCS parents, they have a lot of spicy food. They like spicy food, and they will bring spicy food to school. So the MTA take the initiative to communicate to parents that, maybe we'll take some not spicy, those food not spicy, and for all the CS children to enjoy the food also. So I think this is very, so the teacher thanked the MTA very much in this case. So maybe I have stopped here because I have already taken the 15 minutes. So I welcome if you would like to, what kind of topics you would like me, or if you have questions, I will welcome questions later.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Are there any questions at this stage? Yeah, Shahid.
Thank you for sharing your experiences of developing multicultural teacher assistants. No doubt it's a very promising project and initiative towards multicultural education in schools. And I see the way the university is taking up this issue and trying to train non-Chinese teaching assistants. I wonder whether university is planning to take the similar initiative of training at least early teacher educators from the main Chinese stream rather than non-Chinese only, because we assume multicultural teaching skill should be related to non-Chinese only, rather extending it beyond the non-Chinese population. Rather, Chinese teachers may need similar kind of skills to understand the multicultural education context. So I wonder how the university is looking forward beyond training teachers in terms of multicultural education in at least kindergarten education system or level. But at the same time, how is taking up the issue of multicultural education at upper level, primary, secondary level. So no doubt this is a very fundamental and foundation where young kids needs to understand the various issues related to multicultural society or diversity. So that would be very helpful in terms of taking up beyond only just facilitating at the lower level, just going beyond in terms of the ethnicity, non-Chinese and Chinese teachers, and taking up to the higher level.
Yes, thank you for your opinion. Yes, we also, it's so important for us to think about that in this way. Yeah, just because this program is sponsored by funding, that and they have the to begin with, they have the ultimate goal working for the young children in the kindergarten sector. So, but I'm sure this program serve very good, will provide us very good experiences, and then we can further to think about in Hong Kong context the demand of this in primary school and secondary also as well as the non-Chinese speaking sector. Yes, this is very important and it's worth thinking, further thinking. Yes, agree.
Yes.
It works. Thanks so much for the sharing, and I can understand why it's so important your projects and gonna really have some long-term and significant impacts to transform the educational practice in Hong Kong, and they really need someone and like a teaching assistant training your program. I just share a little bit of comments, personal views. I guess personally, I think well, that's the obstacle in the intercultural communication. It's not language actually. It's kind of the sense of trust. So for the kids or for the adults, they can whatever they look like, whatever the language they speak, whatever the dress they may have, they can have a trust. If the kids has a trust with the teachers, whether they're local teacher or non-local teacher, they can stop crying, I guess. And so the language might be the problem, but this kind of building the confidence, building this kind of sense of trust is much more important, it sounds, in the classroom teaching. And so I guess, perhaps when we try to promote intercultural communication or interaction, we emphasize, I'm wondering the emphasis should be on, emphasize is try to highlighting the different cultural differences between local or non-local people, or between different cultural groups, or we try to help the teacher and the students to deconstruct the cultural differences. So, whatever that's language, appearance, all of these kind of things. When we talk about communication, talk about interaction, this is only kind of phenomenon, and we should build, whatever people come from, I'm able to communicate. And I'm trust the whole society, I'm trust the teacher, I'm trust. So it's kind of, I'm wondering, that's maybe a little bit more theoretical, but I'm wondering that's the emphasis for the training. Is emphasize that's the difference or trying to construct these kind of things.
Yes, thank you for giving emphasis to these cultural differences. Yes, these rationale or theories behind is really very important. And maybe you make me think of the challenges that we face in running this multicultural teaching assistant diploma. Now, because we are talking about helping non-Chinese speaking young children to learn Chinese, and we are training multicultural teaching assistant to help young learners to learn Chinese. So for these multicultural teaching assistant, they are non-Chinese speaking, and they they have various they possess various background. They are different in background about the Chinese culture and Chinese language. So we are facing double challenges in training the multicultural teaching assistants. So last year is the first batch, and this year is the second batch of our diploma. And in this second batch, we give more enhancement to multicultural teaching assistants to enhance their Chinese language and Chinese culture in relation to Chinese culture. Because now some of them are born in Hong Kong, some MTAs born in Hong Kong, but some are not. Some migrate from the home country during their primary school years or secondary school years. But because of they can speak Cantonese and they know basic level of the Chinese language, they can read Chinese at the basic level, and they know they live in Hong Kong, that they live in Hong Kong. But then sometimes they are very closed and they are not open to Chinese culture. For example, they know very little about Chinese New Year. So that's why for this year we have to enhance their knowledge about the Chinese culture by doing some learning projects, such as to study about Chinese New Year, to study about, to go to the Taibo village, to study about the heritage of that fish village in Hong Kong. So this is so important. We have to back up their knowledge in this way, so that they are filling the gap of these cultural differences when they are living in Hong Kong and going to help young learners to live in Hong Kong. So thank you for your inspiring idea.
No questions.
I just echoing you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Gloria and then Carla.
Yeah, and on this point, I agree that real integration between Chinese-speaking students or any Chinese-speaking people and non-Chinese-speaking people is very important in the interaction and cultural exchange and real integration. So I have some suggestion is maybe encourage for the teaching assistants to encourage the students and also for themselves to learn how this of different ways to communicate, especially in young child. I think at that age the language communication is not the most important thing. It's about some playtime, and then when they play they can have more interaction time, exchange language and hear more, and then they can learn better. I think that is very important, especially since peace school age to learn Chinese better, especially their Chinese is their second language.
Yes. Thank you.
Carla?
I just have a quick question. When you talk about multicultural TAs, are you talking also about, are there any mainlanders in your program? Because mainland children, although culturally, of course, it would be very similar, but linguistically speaking, if there are mainlander students, they would also need support.
We target ethnic minorities in Hong Kong, so the Southeastern Asian minority groups.
Because it might, just for future, it might be also helpful, because culturally and ethnically, okay, they're very similar, but linguistically, they might also need support.
Yes.
I think it would be later.
Thank you for your suggestion.
Thank you. Yes, Minta.
Yeah, I just find the presentation is fantastic. Yeah, I'm totally fascinated. Yeah, with what you have done there to support the teacher of ethnic minority, the teacher who work with the ethnic minority children. I think it's set a wonderful example for the multicultural education. I think it's not only for early childhood, probably at the primary school level or at the secondary school level. I think a similar program could be offered, and that would be wonderful. And I would like to continue the point highlighted by Cars. I think in the future, there's plenty of room to further develop this program to support the parent or to support the local teachers. And I think one of the key points about multicultural education is it should be two-way. We are not only focused on the ethnic minority student, but local Chinese student as well. The teacher with ethnic minority background would teach the local student and then get them to, access into the principle and the value of multicultural education. Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
Greatly agree. Yes, because I also see that because in those kindergartens there are Chinese-speaking and non-Chinese-speaking children. We see the importance of the integration. The integration that means two-way, a dynamic way. Not just one way. One way cannot succeed. Thank you, Professor.
I think we're having some really important issues emerging, and I think what you're doing is pioneering work, but you can't solve all the problems with one program. But the points that are coming out, I think, are really important to revisit after the break, because they are directions which the university as a whole needs to address, and that there's a lot more. We're only doing small things at the moment. We're doing a pioneering program with Tiki. We're doing some things in English language education. We've got the faculty outreach, but there's an awful lot of blank areas where the university is not really engaging in its full potential. And the issues that are coming out from the conversations are things that need to be embedded within the university strategy. And that's something I'd like to revisit after the break if people are interested in going further. So thank you very much, Tiki, for your contribution. We're going to move to Mindak, and you're going to talk to us again now based on your experiences on managing diversity. Thank you.
Okay, and good morning, everyone. And I'm so delighted to be here with you all in this forum and share with you some of my thoughts about managing diversity and ethnic minority education as well. And all these ideas generated through the experience of ethnic minority students and the teachers whom I came across under different projects on ethnic minority, which I worked with different colleagues last few years. All these projects set in the classroom or the school policy context. And this forum certainly helped me to move away a little bit from this context and try to rethink about how far EdU ourselves has been doing in addressing the diversity and ethnic minority education, probably cultural inclusion as well. While many schools, as we know, many schools, secondary school, primary school, they have been working very hard on making this happen. And how about EdU? Because we are as a key teacher training university in Hong Kong, that we should have a role here. So before moving on to elaborate these points, and I would like to share with you two stories I collect from interview. And the first one comes from a male English teacher, and he was Pakistani at his age of mid-30. He talked about his dream of being a police inspector, and I was totally convinced. His job would suit him perfectly well. Because this teacher is very tall, he's muscular in a way of his talk. He's full of confidence, and he carries a very strong sense of being a leader. And in the course of the interview, being a researcher, and by the time, I feel the sense of his strong leadership. And it's not the kind of being very aggressive or very powerful, but it's the kind of charisma attracting me to listen and follow his talk. And he explained his dream went on throughout his childhood and adolescence. But by that time, the result of his Chinese language subject in public examination was not good enough to make him eligible in making an application for the post of police inspector in Hong Kong Police. It's a bit pity. At last, he didn't make it and ended up becoming an English teacher in a secondary school. And time went on, and he felt very happy with his current job. And as I can see, he did many lovely things for his school, and he holds a senior position as a vice principal, something like that, in the school. And at the end of the interview, he still insists his dream was still alive, and it's time to go back. He still wants to be a police inspector. And another story comes from an interview with an Indian boy in a primary school. He was in age 10, from primary 4. His eyes was crystallized and big. As you can imagine, that Indian kids, very cute, very lovely. And his figure of his face very sharp and elegant, especially compared to Chinese. And he told me that he loved the sport of cricket. And he was devoted to becoming a professional player. And when he talked about cricket, I can tell he was so enthusiastic. And he's so motivated. And he was what I could not see in another bit of an interview. And he told me the story of his play and how much he wants to be a professional player when he grow up. And the whole body language convinced me that that was his dream, that he's committed and really wants to do. And in the moment of listening his talk, I feel a sudden flash of disagreement and disappointment came into my head. And as a majority Chinese, and I knew his dream could hardly be fulfilled in Hong Kong, but maybe somewhere. And still, I hope I'm wrong. And this boy will make his dream come true some days. And this story always reminds me of the ultimate goal of education. And I think education should be about the dream of students. It's not about the dream of the policymaker or the school managers or the parents, even parents. The school should be a place where the potential of the student can be developed, and wherein the dream of the tomorrow is cultivated. And we have put this, when we put this effort into practice, it has to assure the diverse learning needs of the ethnic minority students are fulfilled. so that the academic achievement can be enhanced and they can be eventually helped in making their dream come true. This effort is very beautiful, as we all can recognize. But when putting it into practice, many schools still find it very challenging. So when we look at EdU, we are holding a leading role to play in the promotion of ethnic minority education and set ourselves as a good model, not only for local schools, but also for the community and also for the society, showing how committed, how professional we are in fighting for the equity and social justice for ethnic minority students. And in fact, this point has been confirmed and addressed by other speakers early on. And now, as we can see from the campus, we are having more and more students with different cultural, racial, and ethnic background. And indeed, it's a good time for us to think about how capable the university is in catering the diversity and creating a culturally responsive environment. And here I would like to propose to conceptualize and contextualize the ethnic minority education into the move of internationalization and globalization as experienced by Mei Chen and also Simon Shi. And in doing this, the advantage is ethnic minority can be constructed as a small part of the whole picture of this move. And this construct can avoid the split of the majority and minority, and you are the majority and minority. And also it can lessen the relativity of the minority in relation to the majority, as well as reduce the social power of the majority, which could impose upon the minority. So if we unfurl the university ethos of internationalization and globalizations, one layer of the meaning is to accommodate the learning of all students in a wider context of international and global environment, and accordingly transform themselves from a local learner into an international or global learner. And in this process, the transformation could be further understood in a way that both the majority and the minority are obligated to interact with each other in a very dynamic way and understand to each other mutually. It's not necessary to be one way, but should be two way. And then they have to make a breakthrough of the boundary of their own culture into a new culture of the others, which could be totally different from what they have brought up. And this cultural diversity setting is indeed what internationalization and globalization refers to, and what ethnic minority aims to achieve. So to better address the diversity issue and to promote the cultural inclusion for all students, literature has informed us of various approaches we can consider. And here, three are briefly highlighted. And the first approach is culturally relevant pedagogy, and it is focused on the paradigm of learning. As Gloria Latson-Billings suggests, and she is the key scholar in developing this idea, and this pedagogy aims to empower students to maintain the cultural integrity and to recognize and honor their own cultural belief and practice. So it doesn't mean, okay, forget your own culture. No, these two should be exist together. And at last, helps them access to the wider cultures. So in response to the theme of the forum, I would argue, and this wider culture could be regarded as whereupon the internationalization and globalization are set. It's not necessary to limit it to the wider culture of the majority. So I quite like the idea of internationalization and globalization. That's a very good platform here for us to move on. And the second is the cultural responsive teaching. It gives an idea of how to teach, rooted in the differentiated instruction principle. It aims to link the content from teaching strategy to assessment and linkage to the students' diverse cultural background, and suggests skill at teaching in a cross-cultural and multicultural setting. As Geneva Gates, and she is the key scholar in developing this idea, she insists culturally responsive teaching is inclusive, multidimensional, empowering, transformative, emancipating, humanistic, and ethical. The third approach is multicultural education. James Bank, I think he's very famous, suggests 5 dimensions of its implementation. And the first dimension is content integration of different culture in curriculum and teaching. And the second is knowledge construction, Students are taught to question and critically analyze what they have learned. And in the third dimension, cross-cultural interaction are facilitated so as to reduce prejudice. And the fourth dimension is the adoption of a culturally relevant teaching strategy. And then the last dimension is to create an empowered school culture for cultural responsiveness. Having reviewed the three approaches, relevant pedagogy, culturally responsive teaching, and multicultural education, I would like to ask a question. To what extent has our university EdUHK has put this principle into practice and accordingly create the culturally responsive environment for teaching and learning? And there is no doubt the university has worked very hard to make this happen. However, whenever seeing the faces of the students with different ethnic and racial background and listening to the voices of their needs, I do ask myself the question reflectively again. Is the university really doing enough? So the following are some voices are the ethnic minority students at EdUHK, which I specially collect for this forum. The first voice is about addressing the student cultural and religious needs. The students say, it's quite appealing to hear the university value student diversity, aims to internationalize the student body. But it is not a good sign if the students are unable to fulfill their basic cultural and religious requirements. And such lack of facilitation will discourage potential application or to motivate the existing one to be the university ambassador and a source of motivation for others. And the second point is about catering for diverse cultural and religious dietary needs and practices. It's very basic and affect the life of the student every day. The students say, during my campus life, I always have to think about food. Although I am open-minded and do not strictly follow the religious obligation, I did not enjoy the kind of food that was available at the campus cafeteria. See, I'm not good at cooking. I often had to make compromises on my daily food requirement. This undoubtedly affects my health and well-being. And the third voice is about the interpersonal relations with others and the campus culture. And the students say, I sometimes feel ignored and unattended in the canteen, restaurant, and convenience store on campus. Perhaps language was an issue, but more so was lack of cultural sensitivity on the part of staff or third-party service provider on campus. And indeed, the university have a responsibility to make sure the third-party service provider shows strong cultural sensitivity to all customers. These are the voices of our ethnic minority students. Still nowadays, that's their voice. So while the university is moving towards internationalization and globalization, the voices of these students certainly ring us a bell. As informed by literature, to successfully promote cultural inclusion and ethnic minority education, we need to change the attitude and belief of our student, tutor, staff, and even service provider. And equally important, we need to change the organizational culture and campus atmosphere by better accommodating not only the learning needs of students with diverse and cultural and racial background, but also their spiritual, religious, and dietary needs. And also their well-being should be taken care. The journey of doing this could be long, but it won't be a lonely one. And this is the job for everyone. And everyone has to get involved in building a more culturally responsive university for all students, regardless of the majority or the minority, nor the cultural and racial backgrounds. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed. That was very powerful, and thank you for doing extra research just for this forum. Any questions or comments for Minda? Espitana.
Thank you. That was very interesting. I was thinking, your presentation made me think of how majority grow. Like I am myself from Kazakhstan, so I am the representative of the majority group. of the country. But inside we have 130 nationalities, like really, really multicultural and multinational. And as a majority representative, when I was growing up, I actually never even paid attention to who my classmates were in terms of their ethnicity. And in most of the cases, I would learn some of the characteristics or the traits of other ethnicities only from the adults. So I was thinking how, and I knew very little about other ethnical, some of their holidays or some of their big dates or something like this. So as a majority, I think I only thought that only those big events that we celebrate at the national level are important. But the minority religious or whatever big dates are not important because I didn't know about them. So I wonder how can education somehow face this thing and help the majority also learn some things about the cultural or some interesting maybe backgrounds that we sometimes miss.
So I think school should be the starting point, yes, to do it. But it shouldn't be stopped at school. It should go to the community and to the whole society as well. I think if we put into the context of the university, as different colleagues have just explained, we need to do it through the program, teacher training, research. But from my point of view, very personal, I think we need to have more students with different cultural background to be seen at our university. And that will become a force to make a change or to bring up the cultural diversity issue to everyone. Everyone should address this issue. I would feel even more happy when I see the local Chinese at the university become the minority. Yeah, and the majority should be from all over the world, from different places, and that would be wonderful.
And that's the trick, because in my country I am the majority, but here I am the minority.
Okay, Carla, then Shahid, and then Mira.
I just have a really quick question, and it's a comment first and then a question, because I think that, for example, what Donna was saying, when you have a student, for example, who is fasting for Eid, for example, as a lecturer, we also have to be sensitive. So I think that there should be, maybe not extra training, but at least some kind of policy where, if it's Eid, that student has an excused absence for that day. Not the whole month of Ramadan, but for that day, because it's their holiday, right? We get Christmas off, they should get their one day of Eid. And I think that maybe a policy needs to be put in place to give students flexibility to have their particular holidays. I think is quite important. And also maybe for lecturers and for teaching staff, they also must have maybe just even like an afternoon workshop or something to kind of say, okay, these are the groups that we have represented, these are their holidays, just to spread the information in a more formal way, so that it's not up to the individual lecturers whether they give or don't, right?
Yeah, I totally agree. Diversity should be something for everyone to celebrate. I really hope May will be here to listen what you have just said, because I think our university needs to have some kind of policy or guideline on cultural diversity, at least to bring everyone to be aware on this issue. Maybe I'll read up on Bosch to bring this message.
Yeah, we were going to write a report on this meeting and we're giving it to May afterwards. Shahid, then Mira.
Thank you, all of you, and particularly Professor Mintak, for beautifully articulating the issues at the campus. There's one thing I wanted to emphasize on one of the aspects you highlighted, the multicultural education. We are all aware of one of the great political theorists, Samuel Huntington, who said, the cultural differences may lead the order of the world as a clash of civilizations or clash of cultures. But on the other hand, some other argue that no, this is not the clash of civilizations or cultural differences. Now this is a clash of ignorances. What we see here around us on campus or somewhere outside the society is a lack of understanding, a lack of knowing others or ignorant about others' needs, their understanding, their values, their practices, their norms, everything. So I wonder how we can extend this idea of multicultural education just beyond the campus and just beyond the celebrating the initial a kind of lower level of understanding like food and then the dressings and this and that, the basic necessities of the facilities. Rather going beyond that, developing that kind of environment and structure where everyone is open to learn about others, is willing to know about others, and then one would be able to accept, respect, and value that kind of diversity. So we need to go beyond the campus and within the classroom setting, rather beyond the society, where we would celebrate each other's differences and be sensitive of others. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Ho. I think that was really, really powerful, bringing all these sort of quotation voices from the students. I just particularly want to add something around the food issue that's really, really need to be addressed. Well, we can't really ignore anymore. Like, according to the figure that I just received yesterday, like now we have actually more than 200 students of non-Chinese ethnicity on this campus. So we really have to sort of address their food needs. Although Professor Mue in the morning just said there is more sort of food options we have now in the university, but that really doesn't yet address the food need of majority ethnic minority students here. Until now, I haven't seen really anything halal available, although one of the recent outlets sort of aim to teach us vegetarian is equal to halal, but to my understanding, it's not really. Those who kind of opt for halal food, they really kind of meat is main portion of their food. But then vegetarian, of course, like they can go for vegetarian option, but to address the halal food option, it has to be sort of meat-based food, but that's in a different way. I guess that's one of the things that really this university need to address. I really feel bad when I see students around, they really can't have anything just for eating for their lunch or any of the meals. So that's really, really good to raise that point. Thank you.
I think that's very important. I just share one experience when I did my research degree in London. And in the university, in the cafeteria, they always have a section. Okay, that's the food for Muslim. Or that's the food for vegetarian, something like that. And even they have a special cafeteria for Muslim people, you know. And I think that's a very good practice, and it brings a very positive message, you know, about cultural inclusion.
Yeah.
I think our university should do something the same.
Yeah, just sorry, very quickly one point, maybe because you are going to send these sort of suggestions to some of the big people here. I guess most of the universities now in Hong Kong, they have a chain called Ebenezer. They're like kind of predominantly one of the halal food, sort of Indian food. Yeah. And most of the universities, they have that chain. Yeah. So one of the suggestions maybe, or just we can actually sort of ask Cafe de Coral, the provider, they may have one or two dish at least that is halal for the students. Now we have 200 students. We have to really do something for them.
Yes. Sorry, I've just got aware that we've got one more presentation, then we're having a whole open forum. Given that, any pressing points to raise for Hoi Min Tak? Or can we resume this discussion after the break? Which would be fine. Yes, please.
Actually, I'll continue with Professor Hoi's talk. Like he mentioned that some of his students mentioned that the dreams cannot be fulfilled. Actually, I think I'm one of them as well. When I was looking for my bachelor's, I actually came up to EdUHK and I was turned down because of their language. And after all these years, and I've seen the change, not just with EDU, but overall the higher education in Hong Kong. But that's very, very true. A lot of us always think, and we always face that our dreams will never become true. Like I was wanting to do something related to medicine, and everywhere I was turned down, even though I have good grades from my results, CE results. The only thing they kept saying that education, your language is not right. So I think the initiative taken by EDU about the diploma for assistant teachers, that's excellent. But I think at the same time, it's restricting our abilities. Like being EAs, going to be English teachers, that's not it. I think our students, our children, we are capable of doing much more. Like I myself, I'm studying counseling right now. And the difference is because the class culture also affects the learning a lot. So unfortunately, I can speak and understand Cantonese very well. And being the only non-Chinese in the class, I have to compromise with the class culture. So during guest speakers, class discussions, it automatically turns into Cantonese, although being stated that it's an English medium course. It frustrates me a lot. So I heard that the tutors or the managing bodies will be able to work on that. If it's said that it's going to be like that, like if it's stated that it's a medium of instruction, at least 80% should be of it, because I don't think I'm receiving that right now. And it really, really frustrates me. For guest speakers, I can understand that it's difficult for certain topics, but then at the same time, I believe that there are other professionals out there who are capable of addressing the topics needed to be done in English.
Thank you. I'm going to move on to Pamela now, with your permission. After Pamela, we'll have a quick break. There's some coffee and tea, and then we'll come back to have a general forum where we can share these points in more expansive mode. So, Pamela, would you like to come and give your presentation about the work of the Centre for Language in Education? Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. So don't worry, we are getting there. Looking at the clock towards the break. So what I'm going to share with you is some, let me put it, authentic examples. And also in my presentations, I'm going to share with you some of the what we call NCS students' voices. Okay. So my topic is initiatives to assist non-Cantonese speaking students. Today I'm speaking on behalf of CLE, meaning referring to the Centre for Language in Education. So what does that particular unit do? Well, in general, the unit is responsible for providing language enhancement support for all students, be it local or non-local. So there are 3 teaching teams in the center, namely the English Enhancement Program Team, Chinese Enhancement Program Team, and the Putonghua Language Enhancement Team. So all the language enhancement in these 3 languages are provided by the Centre for Language in Education. So for ethnic minority students or NCS students, they got a choice under the current language policy in this university. So they can enroll through registration into our language enhancement programs. In terms of Chinese, actually they got 2 choices. They can either choose to study Cantonese or Putonghua. As I can remember, I think it's from 2 years ago, these courses, these language enhancement courses become credit bearing. So they have 3 credit points to spend, either to spend on either learning Cantonese or Putonghua. And we also take care of sub-degree MCS students. So those, what I've just mentioned is for undergraduate students. We also provide courses for sub-degree MCS students. At the moment, if I remember correctly, there is only one higher diploma in early child education running on this campus. So that kind of specific purpose is mainly in an early child education context. In addition to formal support that the CLE offers, we also organize different various non-formal support. So I'm naming the examples in last academic years. We organized Cantonese workshops for beginners and also Putonghua workshops in a similar way. So you can tell from the title of the workshops, just to provide some orientation to the newcomers, we organize these workshops through some, we call it language ambassadors, who are mainly our undergraduate students working in the capacity of, say, like student helper. Of course, they are under the supervision of our senior staff. So we have make a new friend. We also make a new friend. I think is some sort of self-introduction and some basic colloquial expressions. And we also took them to Taipo, so to familiarize them about the surroundings in the local community. For the last type of workshops, survival Cantonese workshops, these are organized during the semester, I would say. So at the beginning, we offer the first 2 types. Throughout the semester, we have continuous Cantonese workshop for them if they are willing to come. But very often, students will say, oh, the time doesn't suit my schedule. So when they think that the learning support is not sufficient, well, my experience at the head of the center is I were there to receive different requests or softer complaints. So they can come to me and let me know what kind of support they will need. Of course, they can also always visit our website and to find out the available workshops that may interest them. So when students come to me, in the last 2 years, I receive different groups of students. What I can really do is, because for them, some of them, I can see the difference because the university also gave us some restrictions. We need to meet a certain number of students in order to really offer a formal course or organize a class for them. The minimum number, as we are told, is 25 students. But of course, there are some buffer. So within 10%, say like, at least we need to have around 20 students in order for us to balance the cost. So if we could not gather enough number of students to offer a course, a class for a particular group of students, then when students come to me, what I can do is to provide some tailor-made support for them. So well, it just so happened that because of this symposium, I review my smartphone and take out all these evidence. To your left, it is an extract of WhatsApp. As you can see, my role is to make sure that once I offer some tailor-made support, in this case, this group is called Learn Cantonese 2017. I've invited a student who was doing Bachelor of education in Chinese language, so Chinese major students to be the group leader, to offer some language support for a group of English major students. So my role is to ask this group of girls to remember to sign on their attendance sheet and do the evaluation afterwards. So to your right, you can see they're showing me evidence. Miss, hey, we are working. So I'm sort of chasing them around on campus. I line up this kind of a study group or interest group, mainly hoping to provide the local students, on the one hand, more opportunity to practice how they can help non-Chinese speaking students, because in the future it will become part of their daily duty in schools, right? On the other hand, because it would be too costly if I invite some of the teaching staff to provide this kind of support, because they are employed here to teach for the whole class. So in this group, there are 4 to 5 MCS students. Most of them are from were BA English major students. So you can see from the authentic handwriting that they can't even write a complete sentence in Chinese. You can see the mixing codes, right, with romanization, with some of the Chinese character, with the name translated into Chinese, so on and so forth. So this is one piece of the work. And then there are 2 more by different members in the same group. If you read carefully, you can see that they're trying to introduce themselves. They try to write down what they want to mean in English first, and then my student tutor tried to help them to translate it into Cantonese. This is the way they learn, or this is their preferred way of learning Cantonese. In fact, I remember that when this group of students come to me, that to a certain extent they succeed in their public exam and enter our university. They're doing English majors. It's like Cantonese or Chinese has nothing to do with their career. But when they come to me, they have a common goal, or common request, telling me that they prefer to learn Chinese, not for academic purposes, but one very practical concern is that they can't even understand the jokes their peer were making. So I think this is very genuine, very practical. So they prefer this kind of conversational support is really totally understandable. So in addition to what I've just mentioned, the tailor-made working or study group, there are also online self-access material. I must say this is work done by the CLE colleague. I'm happy that Dr. Xin is here, because I'm also going to very proudly present a platform developed by him. It's also very useful and learning materials that CLE staff would recommend to NCS students for self-access learning. So this is my story with another student. As I've said, when the students come to me individually or in groups, I try to really help them just in my own capacity. This student, Skamosit, a year 1 student in 2017 and 18, and when he came with another girl, actually I think he's trying to voice out his strong will of learning Chinese, because he wants to stay here in our local community for long. It's not just a visitor. He's doing PE major, and in addition to organizing small study group to teach him and his peer a quick way of learning Cantonese, because we try to teach him the Cantonese study, so he can quickly input, even if he can't use other Chinese input method, he can quickly look up the words by just typing in English letters. So he's happy, learning a quick way. And then when opportunity comes, I think this example is, I hope to make use of this case as an example of regardless how small a step it is, if we seize every opportunities, there are always, unexpected outcomes. This scheme, the She2 scheme, actually is quite a conventional scheme organized by our SAO, Student Affairs Office. So we have completed the scheme, and this is the sharing by both of us. I was the mentor, he was my mentee. And this sharing, we have chosen a topic, when two cultures blend, because we're talking about multicultural interaction, integration today. I think this is very appropriate. And we think language. So although language is not the only thing, but language is the key to break through the barrier. So he has shared his experience of working with me for a few months. I invited him to my own class because I'm the lecturer of a course on teaching local students how to teach non-Chinese speaking students in school context. So I invited him to my class. What he did, what was he doing there? He was teaching, in my first class, he was teaching my local students Urdu. So I still remember, if you can see, if you have good eyesight, I still remember the first greeting in Urdu he taught us is Assalamu alaikum. So it means, it says, peace be unto you. So I think it is very interesting, and my class was really impressed. And they met after the class, and they still greet each other in Urdu. So it is a very interesting experience for both of us. In addition to the symbolic meaning of him teaching the local students, I think it is also a very good experience for the local students to understand how difficult it is to learn another language in a classroom context. So I hope this is a kind of experiential learning for both of them. To your right is another occasion that I'll let him tell you later on, because apart from our interaction, teaching him, I give some advice on how he can learn Chinese more effectively. I also engage him in some school support for local students. In the picture, it shows that he was with some of my local students to provide support to a school, to secondary schools where the majority of the secondary school students are non-Chinese speaking students. He was there, he was the group leader there, teaching the other NCS students to complete the exercise, okay? So after he shared, I wrote something in Chinese. And this picture actually is my name in Arabic writing. How can I get this picture? Because I was suggested by one of the NCS students who came to me and told me that there would be an exhibition in their mosque in Tsim Sha Tsui the other day, and I went there. It is a souvenir for someone to do their handwriting there. I think it is. I still keep the original one. So I think this is the kind of cultural exchange between myself and my students. So these are the pictures I got out from my record. Apart from Mohsin, I also invite Asma Bibi, who stands at the back, to join the same activity. So Asma was a bit shy, so she stayed in the secondary school there, working with my local student teacher there, and taking charge of a paper cutting. So they're cutting the paper, and after they finish cutting, they open the paper and you see two Chinese characters in the middle. So this is the activity they're taking charge of. And then Mohsin on that day brought a group of students to the real market. They're practicing how to do some shopping at the Chinese wet market with, of course, some local students.
If you leave the PowerPoint,
okay,
go
let
to
me
the
leave
separate.
it.
Yeah.
Yes, I think I may not.
On your USB.
Yes.
Yeah.
We expressive enough to tell you what they're feeling. So actually this was just taken last Saturday. So I quickly asked him for help, and he casually talked about his experience through the C2 scheme. So because of the time, I remember I should start from here. Let's listen to Mohsin. Okay? Why is that?
It's that one. Yeah.
To learn Chinese language. So we experienced a visit to a secondary school, YY3. There are Chinese school students together with locals as well. And in that visit, I was one of the leaders, and I led a group of Chinese students. So it was my first time ever doing this activity, and the theme for the whole activity was Chinese New Year. Basically, there were different rooms, and each room has its own activity. Like, for example, there was a lamp, and it was a kitchen on that day. So they cooked Chinese traditional food, which Chinese people will eat on in the New Year. So the Chinese New Year. So it was like a simulated, like, learning-based environment for all of us to try different activities in different classrooms, and we went out to the market, nearby market, and we bought some flowers. I forgot the name though, but yeah, we bought flowers and sweet food. This is their traditional custom, so we did it all around the Chinese New Year, like celebrated, we can say. Yeah, and through that experience, I got to learn the related vocabularies to Chinese New Year and the culture itself, and obviously I met different people as well. So from that experience, that was one of the best experiences in Education University of Hong Kong, and I was really happy to see those non-Chinese kids. Most of them were Pakistani and Indians. They are really merging into this community and understanding this in a deeper way now. So it's really good to see them that active and opening up themselves, and then accepting the other culture, and of course promoting their own at the same time. So I think that was the most memorable experience I had.
Can you say something in Chinese?
So my Chinese, I can speak Chinese, but I'm still learning reading and writing. So 講咩好咧？即係我哋做呢個大學咧，我有差唔多4年嘅時間喺度咯。我希望將來會有越嚟越多嘅活動咯，特別係我可以進步我嘅中文，因為我想喺度揾工，同埋我真係我想幫喺 local 嘅之外咧，就係講 Chinese， 我想幫佢哋同埋guide 佢哋嘅行路，即係特別係 youth 青年嘅人。唔該。
So I hope for those non-Chinese speakers in this room would understand Hosse's very good will. He really wants to help his fellow Pakistani or other non-Chinese speaking students. I have one more example to show you. Actually, apart from, these are all examples of how an individual staff or Center for Language and Education or teachers in different capacities that can provide support for EMs on our campus. So earlier on, I have another student who came to CLE. It is in 2016. This is Kuno. Some of you may know him. He's from Indian background. Coincidentally, Kuno and Mohsin went to the same secondary school. So just then we listened to Mohsin's sharing in Cantonese. This time, when Kuno came to me, I did similar thing. I invited a BSCL student to work with him on an individual basis. Well, sadly, although Kuno got very good results from IGCSE, I remember it's five star or something. But he has a math major. When we sit down and open a math exercise book for primary 1 in Chinese, he could not understand. So I asked my students, my student tutor, to read through a math exercise book for primary student 1 with Kuno for some time. And apart from that, when opportunities came, so this is about a classical poetry reading contest organized by my academic department, Chinese language studies. So I encouraged him to participate. And eventually, he received a cert of merit. He was a bit nervous. Actually, he did very well. For those Chinese speakers in this room, if we close our eyes and listen to his recitation, you can hardly tell whether he is native Chinese or non-native Chinese student. So this is the passage in Chinese, 57 words, 57 characters in Chinese, and it is a practice session. So I record this session for him to review. Well, during the practice, he did very well. Please.
不美老師，雖然不美，美麗不神，是者不變，變者不是，智者不博，博者不智。成人不積，既而為人，己如有，既而如人，己如刀，天之道，利而不害，成人之道，為而不爭。
So this is Kuno's performance. I hope you enjoy, and this is my sharing up to now. So I'll take all right.
Thank you very much, Pamela. It was really fascinating and enjoying the performances there. Yes. I suggest we have a little break. There's some tea and coffee outside, and if we can come back in 10 minutes, that'll give us plenty of time for our discussion and building up a solid report to go into the President. So 10 minutes outside for tea and coffee. Huh? Your bag will be safe. We're just going outside the room. So it's only about 5 yards outside the room. Yeah. Thank you. Very good. Thank you. The thing is, individual people who are beginning to get
I'm not defending.
No. Because it has to go also business sort of visible for the companies.
200 is a good. That's a good amount. Yeah. I'll eat it if I can. This is one of the students I'm researching.
Yes.
He got his doctorate in art. He was a PhD student.
Because very officials.
They're flats. The team is all spread out. Some are English. Do you know?
Hey, that's okay.